control room, maybe? Stream inactive. Getting stream. Getting broadcast. Poor connection? Let's see here. Going live. Is it working? It says it's public. Okay, it is working now. See, it took it for a moment to be able to start working, I guess. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. We're doing one of these again because I've been in a weird malaise today, and I need to fucking talk into a fucking live stream machine or something. It seems like I inevitably just do this every single time I get bored. It's like my go-to. It's like the first thing that I think of where if I'm not going to like play a video game, I just start streaming. It doesn't even matter if I have something to say a lot of the time. I just start streaming. And it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to be able to just always know that you're going to be able to begin a stream and then have things to say, even if you don't necessarily have things to say. Like, being able to conjure up something to talk about, despite, on the surface, not having anything to talk about. It's always fun. It's always fun to be able to see what your brain... when you just begin a live stream. It's mostly about stream of consciousness, you know, being able to do stream of consciousness well and all that, which seems to be the thing that like I've focused on more than anything else, is just being able to do stream of consciousness well. It says, Yi in the chat says, "Hey Star, how are you doing?" I need to know if the stream is cutting out at all, because what I'm getting on my screen is that it's cutting out some, and it's telling me that there's a poor connection, but I have no idea how true that actually is. So if any of you could let me know, I would be appreciative of that. Okay. Perhaps I should change the settings. Broadcast settings. See, I'm new to this Streamlabs app. Is that I've been trying to use this as opposed to using the other method, which is the YouTube app, because I've noticed that this one generally works better in terms of like having better battery usage and this kind of thing. Okay, it is working. Awesome, great. So how is everyone doing today? Oh wow, 7 people. I didn't expect 7 people to show up this early into the live stream. How is everyone doing today? I have been tired pretty much most of today. I've been tired. And so what I've been doing is, in between listening to podcasts, I've just been playing video games, like off and on. It's cutting out a bit, but it's good now. Okay. Like off and on, what I've been doing is, in between playing video games, I've been listening to podcasts, or I've just been doing both simultaneously. And it's a nice way to be able to unwind. But at this point, like, I'm almost ready to go back to school. That's the weird part, is that whenever I would get a break, you know, back, like pre-NEET life, when I was in like middle school and beginning high school and stuff, I would always dread the ending of a break, you know? I would be like, I didn't get enough time. I needed more time on the break. And then nowadays, like, just like yesterday, I started getting the sense that I was running out of things to do. And it's very, very odd to me, because I certainly haven't ran out of things to do. There's always more things to do, but I've already started getting so used to having a schedule that I almost prefer it in certain ways, or at least my brain makes that distinction that okay, it's time to go back by this point. Having a week off is too strange. Um, it's interesting to think about because like I was so ardently anti-school for the longest time, and it's not like school is even like a good thing in my mind. Like I get some satisfaction out of doing menial tasks. I mean, that has been pretty much always true for me. I don't particularly like it. It's more so that it forces me into this mindset of having something that I'm supposed to do every day, and I like that. Like when I did the self-inflicted schedule, when I did the self-inflicted schedule with age adding for Japanese, like I had so much fun doing that. It was like it gave me the sense that I had, that I had a purpose, that I had something that I was supposed to get up every day and do. And the only thing that ended up fucking me up on that schedule that I had created for myself was that I couldn't uh, keep my sleep schedule consistent. That was the only part. But as you guys have seen, in recent months, I've been able to fix that problem. So, I mean, when I get out of school, I'll probably be able to just do the self-inflicted schedule again. I've done it in the past. Obviously, the big example is the Japanese experiment, but um, North Korea 2020, yes. Are you working on anything creative? I tried to write a video today, but it came out pretty bad, so um, yeah, I just put it down because I wrote like the first paragraph and I just wasn't satisfied with it. My thing with writing is usually in order to make something good, I have to be in a very specific mood. I'm a very lazy, indolent kind of person. Like it may seem like I've heard people tell me that I have a good work ethic before because I produce so many videos on such a constant basis. But that's all smoke and mirrors because everything I produce tends to be produced because I was in the mood to produce it or because I wanted to. It's not usually because I've like put in this pristine work ethic into doing it. It's just because I decided to do it that day and I had something that I wanted to say. Usually when I force myself to create something, it comes out significantly worse than the other things I produce. Um, so what I end up doing most of the time is that I make things because I wanted to make something that day. It's not like with like learning a language where I can just make myself do it after a certain point, or I can like metagame it into making it more fun than it is at that initial stage. So, um, did you find any friends to sit with during lunch? No, because I haven't been looking for any. I don't really want any friends, so I just sit by myself. I don't understand the people who make a big deal out of that, is that there's a lot of people, they go, oh, Star, why don't, and my parents do this as well, is that they go, oh, Star, why don't you go out and try and make friends while you're at school? I just don't want to. I just prefer spending time by myself. I guess I'm kind of like Daniel in that way. But my parents, like, they're very confused by it a lot of the time. Because, like, they've been telling me for pretty much my entire life to go make some friends, and I've just never wanted to do it. So I generally prefer spending my time by myself. Um, see here. I wish I knew about Evernote and Trello when I was in school. Seriously, check them out. Uh, let's see. Spoken like a true young MGTOW, says Code Red Pill. I've never seen Code Red Pill before. It's nice seeing a new person in the chat. Um, I don't know what are Evernote and Trello. Those things sound like stuff that I've heard before, but I don't know what those are. Um, but yeah, I'm not a MGTOW. I just have always had very isolationistic tendencies. I think the MGTOW movement is interesting, but yeah, I kind of identified as like a volcel, a voluntarily celibate, because it seems like kind of inevitability with people just being alive. People are gonna label you something. But I didn't have the label of voluntarily celibate anymore just because it seems like it's kind of intentionally limiting experiences you could have. Whereas like I'm not interested in sex or anything like that for the most part because I don't have very strong sexual attractions. I don't really masturbate very much. I never have. And so oh shit! Fuck! um let's see. Abdul Nuez says, "Hey, I'm new too." Nice. Um let's see here. Is the best shit ever for autodidactics. I have never considered paying for premium shit before. Um, yeah, I'm not sure what that is either. I've never heard of that term. So many terms. I don't know what a lot of these things are. Ugh. But yeah, a lot of people have suggested that I'm like a schizoid, that I have like schizoid personality disorder or something, and I've read into that a little bit, and I relate to a lot of the symptoms. I don't know if I do have it or not because a lot of doctors have suggested that I have like autism throughout pretty much my entire life. And it's said that like schizoids are pretty similar to autists in a lot of ways. So I don't know. Maybe I am one. Just because I've never had like a strong inclination to making friends. I should have kept more health before I got up here. I didn't realize how bad this was going to be. This guy. Okay, well I died anyway, so I just have to not fuck myself over before I get to that part. Mm. Let me see here. Okay. Fly. Fly. Okay. We're doing it. Um oh shit. Okay, I stopped paying attention because I tried to look at the chat. God damn it. He just follows you around. What the fuck? Dark Souls of Kirby. No, there's probably much more difficult. There's probably much more difficult Kirby games than this one. I'm just really dumb, so there's probably like something that I'm supposed to do that I'm not noticing here. Um, okay, no, I see it. You're supposed to let him mess with the things on the bottom. Fuck. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you're supposed to let him fly down there and then walk this way and then wait until he does his thing and then go up while he's down. Okay. Um what year is this game? 1993. Yeah. This is the Kirby's Adventure on the NES. It was like one of the last NES games they made because I think they discontinued the NES in 94, I believe. It was either 94 or 95. I think it might have been 95 in Europe and then 94 in the States or something. Yeah, this is one of the last NES games they made, along with Wario's Woods, is that you had like unlicensed NES games coming out after its lifespan was over. Like Hellfighter was one of them. It was one of the Taijin games that was produced in like Southeast Asia in people's basements. But uh, but you had mostly like the last two like Nintendo titles, like big name Nintendo titles. It was Wario's Woods, and then it was Kirby's Adventure. These two games were pretty fundamental to the end of the console. But the reason why the graphics look so good for NES standards, the reason the graphics look so good for NES standards and there isn't a lot of slowdown with the animation is because it was released so late into the lifespan that they were able to they were able to understand like how to make an NES game by that point. Because if you look at like the early NES games, the ones that like first came out, they were all pretty rudimentary. Like they were just trying to figure out how to work with the 8-bit medium. But by the time this game came out, Nintendo had tons and tons of experience in that department, so they produced something that was optimized fairly well for the console. Let's see. I knew it. It looked very 90s. Crazy to consider that Super Mario Bros. And this Kirby game are on the same console. Yeah, it really is, and I think it speaks to how like rapidly the development processes would go with game development at the time because as computers started to accelerate, the methods by which software would accelerate hardware also started to get better as well, where like better development techniques came into play as they better understood the hardware, but they had little ways of using software to accelerate hardware. And you also like nowadays we don't really have like really big jumps in console performance. Like the 16-bit to 8-bit era, or the 8 to 16-bit era, was like a huge, ginormous jump in terms of quality. And by the end of the Super Nintendo's lifespan, you started having games that simulated 3D environments and started experimenting with new kinds of sound chips and stuff inside of the games. You started to get, really advanced things coming out of the Super Nintendo that you wouldn't have thought to see at the beginning of its lifespan. And then you go to the 32-bit era with like the PS1 and the Nintendo 64, and they just like fundamentally changed the way that people viewed games forever because you started having spaces where you could do 3D movement. You know, nowadays like the PS5 is coming out, and yeah, they're going to have ray tracing for lights and stuff, and it's like, okay, yeah, lights look kind of cooler now, but how is this that big of an upgrade from the console that, you know, addendums to like computers, where like with computers every 3 or so years you get like a hardware add-on to the machine that you already have, and then it slightly upgrades the graphics. Like that's what having consoles nowadays feels like. You don't really have these big fundamental changes. You don't have like all of these weird software acceleration things going on. That sense of progression, I think, is pretty much over. Now we just have computer wannabes. And, I mean, Microsoft kind of predicted that when the Xbox came out, but I remember when the Wii and the Xbox 360 came out. I feel like that was like the last, major leap that we had in technology, where I remember watching the E3 conference on G4 at the time. I was very young, and then seeing motion controls be presented at E3, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Seeing how beautiful the graphics were when they presented like Metal Gear Solid 4 and like Perfect Dark at the Microsoft E3 conference when they showed off the new Perfect Dark game at the time. This was 2005. To see the effects on the character's hair and on water and stuff, how different it looked to the games I was used to playing on the PS2 and the Xbox and the GameCube. It was an amazing feat to see something like that, and I don't think I'm gonna feel that way again about a new console coming out. Just because we've gotten to the point where photorealism has become so prevalent that you can't really go much farther than that. You can only make it like slightly more photorealistic, and it's sad that the charm behind that is just falling by the wayside at this point. But it is what it is. There's obviously going to continue being new and interesting games coming out. It's just that they're probably going to be Japanese games. I feel I feel bad for the people who are like hardcore into video games, but they don't like Japanese games, because Japanese games seem to be the only like interesting things that are coming out now, because in Japan they have a really big AA game sector, where people tend to have these lower budget games that aren't indie games, but they're just focused on being sold to a particular niche and then getting out. Let's see here. Did somebody say G4? Yes. I used to watch G4 constantly. G4 was like my favorite channel on TV. When it ended, they just constantly played cops. Like I remember near the end of when G4 was still airing shows, they had just constantly played reruns of cops. And by the end of X Play, when X Play aired its final episode, they didn't even have Adam Sessler anymore. Like X Play was like one of my favorite shows on TV. I would watch it every single time a new episode came out, and I had been doing that for like years. Like since I was like 5 years old, I had been watching X Play, and so it was like my favorite thing. They had the Games for Cheap Bastards segment, and I remember they talked about Call of Cthulhu on there, and then my dad bought a copy of Call of Cthulhu because it was cheaper. And yeah, it's really sad the way that G4 went. I miss X Play. I miss Attack of the Show. Um, Olivia Munn was cool. Even though she was just kind of bait to get horny gamers to watch the TV channel. But I want to go back and watch some of the old Tech TV shows because I wasn't around for Tech TV obviously, but something about it, like there's some kind of charm that Tech TV show. God damn it, there's some kind of charm that Tech TV shows have. Um, let's see. Too bad motion controls ended up not being all that amazing, and the Wii turned into a shovelware machine. I actually like the Wii. I do think, the Wii had like a fuck ton. They had like a fuck ton of shovelware and bad games, but there were a lot of great games on there too. No More Heroes, Mad World, even like Alien. What was it? That I was gonna say Alien 9. That Sega Alien game was pretty good. There was a couple things on the Wii that were decent games. Mad World to this day is like one of my favorite games. So I think there was good. We may be the last generation of people to have a grasp on computer hardware. My niece barely knows how to use a PC. Yeah, I think a pseudo boomer. I mean, yeah, I kind of am. I don't think that there's a category for people who are like boomer zoomers. I don't think it works that way. But I've always like identified with the boomer isms. Like if you go back through my channel, like what my channel began as in February of 2015 was talking about retro video games. That was like my entire shtick for like over a year. Was I just always talked about old video games, and that was how I. But so I in your pocket that's really easy to use. So I don't see computers. I don't see computers having the same weight to them among most people. Uh, among most people, just because phones, just because phones are so prevalent. Pseudo Gen Xer. Oh no. There will always be autists, abysmal boy. Yeah, I was talking about evaluation. Let me see here. There will. Oh wait, no, I already read that. I miss Adam Sessler. I agree. I miss Adam Sessler too. Zesty says, Pollo to you as well. The worst thing in the world is a wannabe boomer. I mean, I don't want to be a boomer, quote unquote. The idea that, like, there are people who want to be boomers, I think is a little bit silly. They probably exist somewhere, but I haven't seen them before. I just relate to a lot of the same feelings that boomers have. And I have a lot of the same opinions. I like a lot of the same technology. And I kind of attribute it to the fact that I grew up in an area where technology was like 2 generations behind. And so because I always had much, much older technology than like everyone else who was growing up at that same time, I have more nostalgia for that kind of technology because that's what I grew up with, a Windows ME computer, a landline, dial-up internet, and these kinds of things. I never really got onto the major social media websites until like mid 2015. So before that point, I was using forums and stuff and like IRC and this kind of thing. Um, and so, in terms of how I use the internet, like the types of games that I played, the type of technology we had in our house, it was all like much older than what was current because the area I lived in was of like 1,000 people. There were trees everywhere, and everyone was poor. There was a fuck ton of poverty where I lived, so it was kind of like everyone was stuck back, everyone was stuck backward. Um, and so I have the same nostalgia for the people in like the older generations because that's just what I grew up with. DZD says simpler times. I agree. What the fuck? The Wii was great. I still play Mario Kart Wii. Um, yeah, it's Mario Kart Wii. I don't think I ever played Mario Kart Wii in any serious sense, just because I didn't own a copy of it. Um, but let's see. What consoles do you own? Let's see here. Well, physically right here I have an NES. And then I have the PS2 right here, and then I have the Dreamcast in there, but if I can, I mean let's see, my closet right now is like a mess, so I can't particularly show everything. Just like right here I have the Xbox 360, the old Xbox, and then I have somewhere in one of these boxes in here I have the Nintendo 64, the ColecoVision. I have a PS1 just like randomly in there. I have the Wii in there. What's the other one? There's some various things. Sega Genesis. I have the Sega Genesis in there. The GameCube is in there. I don't want to. I have a Sega Saturn just sitting right here. I don't have cords for this thing. It's just there. So I have a bunch of different game consoles. It's just that they're all like in boxes right now because I don't have a particular space to put them. If I had like a thing that I could put them all on, that would make things easier, but I just don't right now. Let's see. TFW have Xbox 360. Let me see. Wait, no, oh, wait. Okay, I'm unmuted now. I realized that I didn't unmute myself, so I said a bunch of stuff without unmuting. Um, TFW have Xbox, so yeah, he lists out all of these like seventh and eighth gen systems. Uh, and I mean like those are generally like characteristic of the people who grew up around that time. Um, I have a DS over there. Uh, the Game Boy Color was like the first system I ever had because it was handed down to me because my brother had the Game Boy Advance, so I played on the Game Boy Color. Um, See, I don't know why you would own a Wii U. Also, how did you afford a Switch? Uh, the baby shark plague will raise a generation of ultra normies. I don't know what that is. That's exactly what a boomer hipster would say. Uh, damn. Let's see. I got a ColecoVision for Christmas, 1983. Wow. So there's a older person in here. Oh, the ColecoVision's cool. I wanna I wanna I wanna get like an adapter, to be able to play mine on this television because the coaxial that it's used with is so old that that it doesn't actually go into this TV. Let's see, I can hear now. Mummy felt bad for me and bought it. Based. Uh, let's see. The first system I had was the Intellivision, basically a clone of the Atari. Wow, so someone in here had an Intellivision, and then the other person had a ColecoVision. That's very cool. I want to get an Intellivision. because there's this really cool vampire game that Angry Video Game Nerd talked about like 8 years ago that I want to play, and the Intellivision just seems pretty cool. Let's see. TFW first console was a Game Boy Color and a cartridge of Pokemon Silver with a failed battery. Yeah, it's Pokemon Silver was fun. I liked Pokemon. Um, R.I.P. to the battery. Wow, 48. And then Muggerfugger says he's 39. Wow. It's got some older people in the chat today. 48 years. Also, I got a Wii U exclusively for MK8. I played it a lot. Got the WR on Music Park for a little bit. Also old over here, 14. Yes. Yeah. It's Mario Kart. I'm not like the biggest fan of Mario Kart, so I would never buy a console just to play that one game. Remember to take out your old batteries out of handhelds as they expand and leak into the system. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've had to do that. I've had to do that for ages now, because that happened to me once when I was little, and I never let that happen again. I'm eating melted ice cream here. You can't see it. Oh, okay, now you can. Now I'm eating melted ice cream. What a time to be alive, says DZD. It really is. Mario Kart 8 is actually good enough to buy a console for. No joke. Makes the previous versions look like garbage in comparison. Didn't they re-release it for Nintendo Switch? I don't know if they did or not. With local multiplayer games like Mario Kart, you need to get an Onisan to bully you, as you play it so that you become attached to the game via Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah, that is pretty cringe, not gonna lie. Mario Kart Wii is infinitely better than Mario Kart 8. Is it? I don't remember much of Mario Kart Wii. I never owned a copy. The Switch version is better. I played a little bit of the Switch version. I played a little bit of... Or it was some kind of Mario Kart on Switch in a GameStop. Is that when I was getting my glasses, I walked in and they had Mario Kart there. But I could ever be obsessively into Mario Kart or Smash Bros. Mario Kart Wii, Mario Kart DS, Mario Kart 8, C is based. I like I liked Mario Kart Double Dash. But that's just because I grew up with the GameCube. I don't have my old copy of it anymore because we sold it a long, long time ago. We had Smash Bros on GameCube. Then we had all of the Mario Party games, and then the what was it? Mario Kart Double Dash, and we just sold all of them when we bought the Xbox 360. But we kept the other GameCube games. Mario Kart Wii still has a thriving community. That doesn't surprise me. I heard that people made their own... If you play any of the Call of Duty games on Wii, right now, you can still play them online because Activision's servers are, like, tied to a computer game. So, because Activision had their own independent servers for the Wii Call of Duty games, you can technically still play them online. That's one of those weird things that I want to do for like a live stream someday, just to show that the community is still somehow active on there. I have no idea how. DS had the best drifting mechanics in my opinion. Wii is above just because of the content. I lately play farm sims like Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon, Story of Seasons. So comfy and cozy. Yeah, Stardew Valley seems fun. I was always a big fan of Harvest Moon. Um, there's a great Harvest Moon game on GameCube. I think it was Magical Melody. I forget which one it was, but great game. Harvest Moon is a lot of great games. I want to play the original on the Super Nintendo. Yeah, it's called Wii Mi-Fi. There are also like 250 custom tracks. Wow. At sea ready or at Abel ready to get your flower bed shat on by the Admiral. Oh yeah, that was the most strange thing is that in one of Yoshika Miyako or Admiral Umaru's videos is that he told this story of how in Animal Crossing he like destroyed this person's flower beds just because he was mad at them in Animal Crossing New Leaf. And it was one of the funniest stories he ever told on his YouTube channel. My brother owns hundreds of old generation games at this point, maybe 300 on the NES to give you an idea. I need to get an exact count. Wow. Yeah, I want to get a collection like that, mostly just because like I think there's probably only like 300 games that I'd be really interested in playing on the system in the first place. Like I used to want to get a complete set like Pat the NES Punk or AVGN or something because I spent like a number when I first got onto YouTube is that I was obsessed with watching those guys and then also Classic Game Room and a number of other people. And a lot of those people, a lot of those early video game reviewers had complete NES collections. And I always thought that was so cool to have every single NES game. And so I don't want to go for that anymore just because a lot of them cost like $600 and things like that. But I do want to. I want to own a lot of them, just because NES collecting is cool. Base PC games: Minecraft, Terraria, Stardew Valley, Starbound, Banished, RimWorld, and Don't Starve. I haven't heard of like half of these. There was some first-person shooter on the Dreamcast that still had something of an active player base in 2018. Can't remember which one though. It might be Unreal Tournament, but that's just a guess. I know that online for Dreamcast games is actually still pretty active, is that they have special devices you can plug into the system that connect you to private servers where people can still play online. And obviously there's a ton of different Phantasy Star Online servers and stuff that you can play on, so online games for the Dreamcast are still a large, thriving community, thankfully. One that I want to get more into, I just don't have a router in my room, so I can't plug it up to anything yet. Classic Game Room is so based. I love his hardware reviews. Me too! Like, when I first got into YouTube, he was the first guy who I watched, ever. I did not watch another YouTuber. He was the first person I ever watched on YouTube. And that had to have been, like, what, like 2010? Like, it was something like it was quite some time ago, like 9 years ago now, and he was the first person I ever watched. And it was the hardware reviews. I found out about the Sega Saturn because of watching his videos and the Sega Genesis and stuff. And I joined the all holy religion known as Truxton. And whenever someone brings up Truxton, I always feel a little bit good in my heart because of Mark from Classic Game Room. Yeah, they did something similar to Resident Evil Outbreak and Metal Gear Online. Very nice. I don't have a spoon, so I've just been putting my face into this cup of ice cream. My dog is just staring at me. If you want more boomer tier vids, check out GameSack. Oh yeah, GameSack was another one of my favorite YouTubers back in the day. I absolutely loved watching GameSack's videos. That was another, like, I remember when GameSack first came out, like when they first started showing up onto YouTube, I remember them when they had like 3 videos on their channel. It's amazing to see where they are now. Yeah, I haven't watched them in a little while. They would make these like 45-minute, videos on an entire console or genre of games, just like recommending old games to you, but doing so in a really edited, kind of like mom and pop way where, they have these very like unfunny jokes, but the fact that they are unfunny is what adds to the charm, where you can tell these are just two guys in their late 40s, just talking about these old games. With really good production value, but it feels like you're watching like a public access show or something, It like when they try to make jokes, even though it's very stilted and kind of robotic, that's part of what adds to the humanity of it. It's really fun. It was like a public access show. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I absolutely love that about their YouTube channel. Oh boy. And I especially love that part of the dynamic was that like Dave was a Nintendo fan, and then I actually forgot the ginger guy's name. What was his name? I forgot his name, but the dynamic that one of them was a Nintendo fan and then the other one was a Sega fan, and they would constantly clash with one another in the review over that. And I always thought that was so funny because like obviously that kind of rivalry that would be done on like the playground or something back in the day was not around anymore, but they just kept doing it for the sake of it. And it always had this great charm to it. Yeah, I haven't, clearly I have not done enough boomer content on my YouTube channel, because like my YouTube channel used to all just be boomer content. Like that was the entire channel for like ever since it began. And then over time I just stopped doing those videos because I was playing video games way less, and or I was moving all over the country, and so I wasn't playing video games because of that. Or I got into anime. But it's like now when I make boomer videos, people are like, "What? Star is a boomer now? When did that happen?" And when I hear that, I'm like, "Where have you been? I've been like this forever." Oh, my dog is barking now. Let's see. Console Wars has similar dynamics. Yeah, Console Wars is fun. Hey, stop barking now. Is someone at the door? I'm confused as to whether or not someone is at the door. Come here, dog. Either someone's at the door or there's some kind of commotion going on in the other room. Either way, it's none of my business. Let's see. Let me see here. He wanted the ice cream. Oh, well, the ice cream's all gone now. I've been getting my ass beat at this this fucking boss over and over again. I'm so bad at it. It's partly because I haven't really been paying attention, though. Now, one of the interesting things I find about MGTOW is that there seems to be a lot of MGTOW people who are like into like Buddhism and this kind of Eastern aestheticism and these kind of things, where like there's a lot of interesting conversations I've heard from MGTOW groups about being a monk, about living in the mountains just by yourself and finding some kind of spiritual enlightenment. And monasticism is in a lot of different religions. It's not just Buddhism and Taoism. It's also Christianity. There are Christian monks and things like that. And it's in Jainism and these different things. So the idea of achieving some kind of spiritual enlightenment through like celibacy and extreme levels of isolation and trying to be dedicated to letting go of the self in a certain sense and being entirely spiritual. I always thought it was really interesting that a lot of MGTOW people are interested in those concepts, because those are the same concepts that I've always thought are really interesting. And so, let's see. I'll go to school now, but just came to say hello. Hello there. It's nice seeing you again, Russian friend. So many Russian friends we have on these streams. Yeah, I learned meditation from a MGTOW form. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, like, see, I almost dropped the phone there, but I didn't this time. But, I find it really interesting. Well, it looks like I actually that time. Okay. I think this is the part of the stream where I just hold the phone out of fear of dropping it. But no, I've always found it really interesting that a lot of the MGTOW people are interested in this kind of spiritual enlightenment, because from talking to some of them, there's a lot of those kinds of concepts that I've learned, and I'm very interested in it as a result of that. I mean, I was before, but it kind of reconfirmed the interest, like it made it more strong from talking to people from that group. But I've tried to think about, like, the reason why is because, like, a lot of the MGTOW folks, like, a lot of them are the typical kind of people who become monks already, where, like, I've watched a lot of these documentaries about Buddhist and Christian monks and other folks from the kind of Abrahamic area of the world, where they've talked about dealing with severe trauma in their life, or just otherness, being alienated by the world in some way. And even like Gandhi, when Gandhi was a kid, he was, like, really brazen and mean to everybody. He was like a spoiled brat, and he, like, dealt with the death of his father or something, and he was just, like, a really, really bad guy when he was younger. And then he ended up being so celibate that one of the things he did was that he had 3, like, beautiful young women lay naked in his bed with him, and as a test to himself, as a test to his ability to have self-control and to be clear in his mind, the challenge was that he would lay there with them the entire night and not have any kind of intercourse with them. And he was successful in doing so, supposedly at least. And so the fact that, like, someone would go those lengths to achieve some kind of spiritual enlightenment, some kind of inner peace, through acts like celibacy or extreme levels of isolation, I find very, very interesting. I think the girls were really young. Yeah, I believe they were as well. That's the kind of creepy part that I think gets left out of the story a bunch of time. But yeah, that's the part that I definitely would not advocate for. But I just think the story itself is interesting as an example of trying to pursue that. I've watched a lot of documentaries about, like, Buddhist monks going into the mountains, and when given interviews, they talk about how, like, pain is an illusion, and how pain itself comes from your worldly mindset, and if you can let go of your desires, you can allow yourself to be free of pain and sort of view the world in terms of concepts, and kind of divorce yourself from the physical form and these kind of things. Like, really very strange spiritual ideas. And I think the kind of otherness or the alienation that those people experience, that they talk about in their interviews, or that you hear about in these kind of tales, are the same kinds of alienation that a lot of the MGTOW people experience. And so the fact that there is that kind of correlation there, I think is pretty cool. In those parts of the world, it's normal how young they were. And then DZD says still. Yeah, I don't think just because something is normal in a part of the world means that it should necessarily be okay. Like, if it's part of your culture to shoot people in the street, I would call that a bad culture that needs to be, that there needs to be some kind of dialogue there to keep that from happening again, It doesn't make it less creepy just because it's normal over there, I need to turn my TV off. Yeah, and it's also the time period. The time period as well. Stuff like that was more accepted, I would imagine. I doubt it would be accepted nowadays to do those kinds of things over there. Do I want to play Yakuza? I could pop in Yakuza and play Yakuza. It's a little bit too much dialogue and story, though. Dog wants to spend time with me. He's so cool. I feel like half of these live streams, if you tally all of the time up, half of it is just like me staring at my dog or me talking about how cool my dog is. I'm trying to figure out why he's so small. Like, I feed him every day, but he always has this like physical form that feels like constrained, like he's remained small in spite of that. Like his mom was the same way. His mom was really, really skinny, and she ate pretty regularly. She was just skinny. I don't get what that's about. Where like me, like I eat pretty regularly now. I didn't when I was younger, but like I do now, and so I should be larger, right? I should weigh more. My BMI should go up, but I stay pretty much the same. And I thought that would change when I got older. Like I thought for the last year, and yet my BMI still stays pretty much the same. I think that's odd. I think last time I checked, my weight was 125, 120 pounds, something like that. It was around there. It was around 125, 26 pounds, something like that. It's weird. Like it's weird being a small person because I'm 5'9". My height is 5'9", and I'm pretty underweight as well. So, but I kind of like that. Like I kind of like being that way. But I look at all these people who are like 6 foot, and I think I don't ever want to be 6 foot. You know, I just want to stay small. Not in like a child way. Just like it feels easier to be a smaller person. Let's see. Code Red Pill says, "Oh, cute little doggy. How old?" The sad thing is that I can't remember the exact year anymore. He was born on, he wasn't, okay, so there's 2 different batches of dogs, right? And so because she was born on Christmas in 2016, I know this dog was born a year before, so that would mean it would be 2015. So yeah, he's 4 years old. I thought for a moment that I didn't remember. So I'm twice as old as you and also weigh twice as much as you. Haha. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, weighing 240 probably isn't too bad. Like it's probably it depends on where it's being put towards. And how tall you are. Like for me, being underweight isn't so bad because I'm not super tall. Like, if I were taller and I weighed this much, it would be a larger issue. Do you remember the names of those documentaries of the Christian and Buddhist monk isolationists? I know one of them. What was it called? I'm trying to remember the name. I'd have to go back. There's a... I have it on my computer somewhere. I'd need to find it. At least, like, one of them. Let me look through here for a moment. I'm 6'1", a little overweight, but I'm working on it. Good luck. I know losing weight for a lot of people is very difficult. Let's see, where is it? I thought I had it here somewhere. I might not. Because I used to be able to remember the names of stuff so much easier. You mentioned not wanting to be 6 foot. Congratulations on losing weight. I don't know the strong things. It's not fun. So congratulations on that. Yeah, I wouldn't want to. I don't know why I wouldn't want to be 6 foot. I just like being shorter. I found out, it's funny, I found out like late last year that I was a manlet. People told me that if you're under 6 foot, you're a manlet, and I was like, wow, I guess that's what I am. I didn't know that that's what it was before. I can barely keep weight. Yeah, I think I've seen like I've only seen like a part of you from one of your videos. Um, Let me see here. Code Red Pill says thanks. Stop drinking it. I tried to go back to it, and it felt like my insides were just like in pain or something. Like it did not feel right in my stomach after several months of not drinking it and then coming back. So I think there's some serious things in there that like once your body stops being used to them, your body starts being able to recognize that it actually is pretty bad for you, and so it gives you a bad reaction. Like my stomach hurt, I felt physically different, so it's not fun. Let's see here. Never heard that term. Yeah, basically manlet is meant to indicate like people who are small. It's supposed to be like a meme, like on Reddit or something, but I don't really keep up with stuff like that. I've only heard it in passing from other people. Let's see, Pisano just got here. How tall is he again? And then Code Red Pill. Yeah, I'm 5. Technical, it's 5. I don't get in fits all over stuff like that. Like, you know, I'm not pulling out super specific measurements or anything. Some people are they're very very particular about stuff like that. They need like exact, you know, they need to be exact about everything they say, and it's very annoying sometimes. So yeah, I'm trying to find the name of that film. 5'9" is height in the USA. It is? Huh. I didn't know it was the average height in the USA. Or average male height. Yeah. Let's see here. See, let me look around here. I know I have the name on my computer somewhere. I just have to keep looking. Amongst White Clouds. That was the name. Okay. So Amongst White Clouds is the name of the movie. That is a really good documentary. It just interviews the Chinese hermits, and then there's a movie called Blessings: The Nuns of Tibet, and that one is good as well. So if you're still there in the chat, yeah, that was the name of at least 2 of the movies. I don't I don't remember the other documentaries. I mean, if you want to read about Christian hermits, read about like Anthony the Great or something, or I don't know, Peter the Hermit, one of those guys. Only 2 I can remember off the top of my head. I wonder what the average female height is in the USA. Average female height, USA. Oh, they got a list by country. Okay, I'm gonna look at the average human height by country. Okay, so Albanians are apparently very short, because they're only 5'8". You see here. I like how they have no data for a lot of the African countries. They just don't even check. See, Chinese people have the reputation for being short, but their average height is the same as ours, 5'9". NoFap and NYC MGTOW, I thought it was too long, and so, yup. Oh, wow, yeah, I remember you. Yeah, you used to comment on my videos pretty regularly. Yeah, I never seen you on a live stream before, but it's nice having you around, man, because you've left some really nice comments on my stuff, so I appreciate it. Um, I haven't seen you in a while. It looks like the average height around the world is pretty much usually five. Like I'm looking through here, they got 5'7", 5'8" and a half, 5'10" in some places. Most places seem like they're whoa. What is this? Mongolia? The average height. Okay, I thought it said 6 foot for a moment. I was like, my pleasure. This is my almost pretty much almost the same. Yeah, it's most people are 5'7", 5'6", pretty much the same in most places. So I actually did not think I would be this tall. I would have been happy at 5'10" or 5'11". Yeah. I mean, I guess one of the nice things about being because both being short and being tall have their own advantages. Where like being tall, obviously you can reach things more, better at sports and these kind of things. I think one of the advantages of being smaller is that when you walk into like one of those older, smaller houses, and you're trying to and you're trying to look for something, you don't end up accidentally hitting your head on the roof because this has happened to me. This has happened to me before in an older, smaller house. Is is when I tried to get up onto a chair to look around on a shelf, I ended up hitting my head on the roof. That's happened to me way too many times. I don't know what it is. If it's just like cheap houses, cheap houses are just made smaller or something. But I've seen enough houses by this point that have had roofs where like a taller person, 6'1", they can easily just hit their head on it, just by standing. 11 or 12, I went through this phase. I wanted to be really tall like Andre the Giant. Yeah, I can't remember back to a stage in my life like that. Not that I can remember. There's probably some time when I had a thought like that. It's just been so long at this point. I think I'm going to bed now because my sleep schedule because I've been I've been waking up at I actually saw him in person. Wow. Is he I wonder if he's still alive. Let me look this up. Andre the Giant. I don't know if he's still alive or not. Uh Imagine seeing a guy like that in person. That's incredible. Nope, he died in 93. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing you got to see him in person. Wow. Um See, he was only 46 when he died. That's really sad. Um but yeah, it's let's see, what was I going to say? I have to change my sleep schedule. So, I'm going to go to sleep now, but it was nice. It was nice having you guys come out to the stream today. Listening to me talk, ramble into the camera. Um but I'm going to sign off now. Good night.